how it all began. It was a very early morning in the winter and I was in London. I was actually doing an internship in Ted Baker. It was a really exciting opportunity and it was like a 10-day internship. And in that internship, in that morning, I was feeling bad, even though and it was like a moment of my life where I had to just pause and see what was going on. I was living this dream, being in London, doing this internship in Ted Baker. Life is supposed to be amazing, yet something was missing. And I didn't know how to describe it, but something inside of me, I could feel that pull. I could feel those butterflies, like I like to call it. And I was in the computer and I was actually in my lunch break. And in the lunch break, I just started Googling. I just started Googling like when you're not feeling good, when you're feeling out of purpose, when you're feeling that you're not really, creating a difference, you're not on mission. And in that, I came across an article that spoke about purpose. And reading this article, one thing that really called my attention was, are you doing something that's creating a difference for someone? And it made me think, there I was sitting in this internship. Was I making a difference? Yes, I was making a difference for the team, in the time I was working in travel, it was good. But was I really creating a big difference that I felt fulfilled with? Not really, not really. I remember that night, taking the tube back to my place where I was staying, lying in bed, I started thinking about what I was doing. Why was I doing it? And how could I start creating a difference? How could I do something that was going to be of service more, that was going to create an impact? And I noticed for me, I went to sleep that night and I woke up and I started thinking about women. Just because obviously I am a woman, it's kind of been like my soft side. And what I realized was that obviously I have a soft side for women. I have a soft side on how women struggle, how so many women are abused, physically, sexually, emotionally, financially, and yet as women we don't do anything about it. And I remember that day going back to the internship, right? Going back thinking, I need to do something for a woman. I need to do something that's gonna create a big difference, and it's gonna make, it's gonna be of service, something that will free women. And then it just clicked to me, something that's gonna have women become emotionally and financially independent and free. And that was my mantra. How can I create a difference where women are becoming more free financially and emotionally, right? I came back to Panama, which is where I live, and I was grown up. I'd actually gone to London just for this internship. And having gone back to Panama, I started being a geek and brainstorming and studying and reading. I've always been kind of the geek and the nerd in that sense, right? Me and books, as you guys can see, if you're watching this, I love my books. And I started, reading and learning more about law of attraction, energy, business. And at the time, I did not have my own business. At the time, I actually was wanting to be an entrepreneur. I was born in Panama City, Panama. I was it's where I live. I love being here. But my parents are originally from India. So even though I was born in Panama, which is kind of an open culture, Latin culture, growing up with Indian parents, it was really different. Let's just leave it at that. It was really different. And women are not encouraged to be entrepreneurs. On the other side, especially in the Indian community, it's more like the men are encouraged to be entrepreneurs, And I grew up, my dad is an entrepreneur, right? I grew up on my uncles being entrepreneurs, and something inside of me was always wanting to be an entrepreneur. And it hit me, it hit me when I came back from this London trip, and it hit me because I thought, what if I can create a difference for a woman, help women be more free financially, emotionally, and create a business out of this? Why not? And why not me? So many times you might be thinking, you might be having a dream, but so many times we ourselves enroll us into why we shouldn't be doing it. And I had all the reasons and all the excuses to why I should not be even wanting to do this. And here are the reasons, that were coming up in my mind. Maybe you're listening to this, and maybe you feel right now the same way. You know, I used to feel that women can't work, or if women do work, they can't make more money than men, right? I had this notion that, you know, Indian women don't work. You know, their mission or their purpose is to get married and have kids. Not that I'm against that, right? Like, I want to have children, and, you know, I'm on my way to get married, right? But all of these things, these like enrollment conversations in my mind, right? Negative enrollment conversations. And I realized, okay, if I want to support women becoming free emotionally, financially, I got to support myself first. And that's what, again, led me to being a geek, which I always was, right? Reading and studying. And I was in network marketing. So one of my first businesses was network marketing. I was selling like this membership site, right? This membership program for this big company. And I was really into it because their service, their membership service, was actually education. It was all about law of attraction, all this cool stuff, which I love and adore, again, being the nerd that I am, right? Which is crazy. And it actually went well until I reached a point where people started asking me, Sherina, why don't you start coaching us? You know, I started growing this network marketing business, and I had many of my friends, people I knew in my group, right? In my downline, that's the way they call it, right? In these businesses, like a group of people who were in it as well with me, and we were growing the business. We were making a difference. We were like sharing the opportunity with people. And many people in that group started telling me, Sherina, you are so great at this, because I was like such a geek, right? Such a nerd, still am. They're like, why don't you start coaching us? You should start coaching people. And at the time, I had no idea what coaching even was. No idea. You know, fast forward a few years today, well, you know, when you're listening to this, it's like I'm a coach, traveling the world, all of it. But at the time, I didn't even know that this industry even existed. Let alone the possibility of being able to fulfill my dream of making a difference for a woman, right? Like, not even knowing. And here's the thing. You might be having a dream right now. Maybe you're listening to this. Maybe you're watching this and you're thinking, whoa, Sherina, I feel you. You know, I too want to create a difference for dogs. You know, I too want to create a difference for whatever it is, whatever the situation it is. But maybe inside of you, part of you doesn't believe it fully. That happened to me. And I had people around me enroll me, again now positively enroll me to this conversation that I could be a coach. And I'm a big believer in law of attraction. I'm a big believer that when something calls you and it's like being repeated and it's calling you so many times, you should be listening, right? Like, I call that your butterflies, right? The intuition, I call that your butterflies. So I was like, you know what? I gotta follow this. I gotta follow my butterflies. Because it wasn't only one person saying that, it was various people. And it was a very interesting time in my life because at that time, I was actually asking myself the question, right? How can I create a business where I'm making a difference for a woman? How can I create a business where I'm making a difference for a woman? How can I create a difference where I'm making a big difference and being of service to women, where I'm able to support them in their freedom, you know, their financial freedom and emotional freedom and independence. And it led me to this program that I did where I learned about coaching. This program actually taught me about coaching. So it trained me to be a coach, and it also trained me in business, right? Like, kind of like the first steps in business. And when I started this program, it was a really scary moment. It was a scary moment because, one, I had never invested in something so big like this before, right? This program was in the 5 figures investment. And never had I done something like this that was so different, right? Again, I really believe it's so interesting how when we are born, we are programmed we're literally programmed on how our life should be looking like, right? And this wasn't part of the picture, oh, you were gonna grow, create a business, do this, and become a coach. It wasn't. On the contrary, even this possibility of doing this wasn't even an option, right? It wasn't really even an option. And I did this program, and I was actually a secret coach while I was doing this program because I was so scared to tell people that I was doing this. When I joined this program, it was online, right? This program was online. There were a few trips that we had to take as part of the program, but the general program, the general education, the modules, the calls, all of it was online. I had not told anybody about it, not even my parents at the time, right? They actually found out later, and that's a different story, which I can tell you another day. But I knew inside of me that I had to do it. And even though I had no idea in terms of financially, in terms of time, how I was gonna make this happen, I had to follow that gut. And I really believe that that gut, your butterflies, is so important when it comes to building your business, when it comes to living the life you love, when it comes to really creating life, an epic, right? An epic life, a freedom-based life and business. So I did that. And in the program, as I was sharing, I was a secret coach. I didn't want nobody to know what I was doing or how I was doing it. And there are times where we had to share content and share tips. Like I used to actually go to Facebook and share and put in limited profile, or you can put limited profile and block everyone I knew. And it's so funny because I used to post and nobody used to watch it, right? Nobody used to be able to read or watch or listen or whatever. Because again, I was so scared. I was so scared to get visible. I was so scared of what people were gonna think of me. I was so scared of being criticized. And here's the thing, I was such a people pleaser. Most probably I still have some traces of it still, because at the end of the day, it's I always call these layers that we keep on, peeling off while we grow and evolve and do our work, right? While we're growing and evolving in our journey. And that was a big one for me, right? That was a big layer for me, the people pleasing. And I was so scared. I was so scared, one, what my family would say. I was scared of what my friends would say. And even though I had people telling me and encouraging me to get into the coaching in the first place, I was still scared to tell them that I had gone ahead and did it. How crazy is that? Talk about being misaligned. Talk about being so out of place, right? Talk about being split. And again, I was so scared because I was scared of what was going to be possible. And here's the thing, here's what I realized. Most of us are we're not scared of doing what we want to do or for our dream to come true. We're actually more scared of what people would say or what would happen as a consequence of that. And one of my main fears was if I were to do this and this would actually be successful, what would happen, right? I was not supposed to do this. I was supposed to be, getting married and having kids, right? By now I should have already had maybe 2-3 kids, right? And it was so interesting, right? Slowly, I got myself out of that journey, out of that fear, out of that block of that. I started sharing with my small inner circle, right? With my group, especially that group of network marketing that I had. And many of the people in that group were so excited for me. They were encouraging me. They were being my cheerleader. But there were people in my life at the time that weren't cheerleaders. They were actually people who I love and adore, but weren't supportive. They were actually people who actually wanted to steal my dreams. That phrase, dream stealers? That was what they were for me. And these is 2 specific people at the time. And it was the most challenging piece because these people I really, really love. These people mean the world to me, yet they weren't really in alignment with this dream and this mission that I had. They couldn't even understand why I was doing it. They couldn't even comprehend. And that was really challenging for me. That was really challenging for me. And I really feel that was one of the reasons why I was so scared as well to go public with this and all of that. And long story short, I realized that one of the main keys for us as women to really live in the fullest potential, in our fullest expression, in our fullest creativity, being financially independent, being financially free is very important. Because as a woman, if we do not have access to resources or access to the education to create resources, it keeps us very limited. And that was one thing that I realized really early on in my journey. And it was something which is one of the reasons why I wanted to be an entrepreneur as well, right? But at the end of the day, there was so much guilt and shame around it, right? There was so much guilt and shame of even desiring money. Guys, I thought that desire of desiring money, today I can say, publicly, live and clear, live that I desire money, right? By the time I had a lot of shame around it, I had a lot of guilt around it, right? Again, this happens to many of us. Maybe you're listening to this and or watching this and you're thinking, oh my God, I feel bad. I feel that too as well. Or maybe you feel like, oh, I should be happy with what I have, I should be complacent. But here's the thing, if there's something in you that wants to come out, right? Wants to express itself, wants to grow, the way is available for you. And creating financial flow, creating financial independence, creating financial freedom for yourself as a woman, I think is really important. And in that journey, building this business, I start focusing all my force in that, in the money-making activities, which we'll talk about more, right, in this podcast, and on how to do that, right, how to create that. And while building that, my third month of this program and my third month in my business, actually have started my business, I had made my first 4-figure month, which was a big deal for me, right? It was a big deal for me because I was like, whoa, coming from making nothing to making this, like this actually works. And not only was I making money, but I was making a difference, right? Remember that early lunch in London, in the winter London, the cold London, in sitting in my desk in Ted Baker, right? It was like, whoa. And it was that moment that, I remember that third month, I realized like, whoa, I'm actually doing what I always wanted to do. And there was a sense of fulfillment. There was a sense of like, and I knew it was not the end. I knew that it was just the beginning of the journey. It was just the beginning of my journey, right? And today, 4 years in this journey, the business has grown in various ways, like, right? Not only that, but the impact that we've been able to create has been amazing. And it's possible. 1, we cannot let those fears get to us. 2, if you're feeling the call inside of you, if you're feeling that burn, if you're feeling that yearning, go for it. And that's my message for you in this episode. Go for your dream. Go for your butterflies. Follow your butterflies. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care for now. Bye.